good morning, Lemon Grove Clergy Association. Welcome to our September 9th meeting. We were just chatting before the meeting and remembering what those breakfasts used to taste like 7 months ago. It's our 6th virtual clergy meeting. I stopped calling it a breakfast last month because I'm like, we're not eating breakfast. So this is our clergy meeting. It's good to have those of you that are on already and a few more that are going to be popping on here in a minute. So I'm going to throw the mic over to my husband and let him open us up with prayer.
Oh, I don't know about you, but I need to take a deep breath this morning. Our great Creator, loving God, we are indebted to you for existence, for our very being. We thank you that you love us and you live with us. And we ask for provision, for strength and courage. It's not something that we can muster up on our own, at least not enough on our best days. And as things continue to what seems to be like spin out of control, with one thing after another, we know that you are aware and you're involved in our lives. So we look to you for guidance, for wisdom. May we be a conduit of your comfort and peace. As leaders in our communities, in our organizations, people do look to us. So may we look to you to provide that for us so we may share it with others, comfort and peace, direction and guidance, ideas and creativity, innovations, solutions, directions and purpose and intentionality to come together in times like this when fires are raging, when viruses are spreading, when racism is running rampant, that we are able to see the road ahead, see the path, clear it for us as we gather today, with ideas, with plans and projects and events and activities, maybe more than just the busyness, but the purposefulness of making our world a better place to live, our own little corner here in Lemon Grove. Thank you that we can gather in this way, and we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mark, setting us off on the right tone. I wanted to, before we get into introductions, I just wanted to mention, of course, most of you read the email about Pastor George and his passing. He was battling cancer, thought he beat it, and then took a turn and was in palliative care for the final week of his life, living with his sister and her husband in El Cajon. And so we got to attend the memorial service yesterday over at the lagoon. And there were a lot of people there, a long service with lots of stories about George. So I'm probably going to show some pictures here in a little bit, maybe after we do our introductions. But I wanted to just start out by saying, you know, Pastor George was a very interesting man. I mean, he was a storyteller extraordinaire, and he was very eccentric. And I mean, I think somebody like him is the kind of person, he built 7 buildings, or oversaw 7 building projects while he was on this earth. Was a Navy chaplain who ministered to men and women of all faiths in the service, and played the organ like amazingly, played the organ. And there were some stories about him playing the organ in the Navy and some of the things that he did. Yeah, Germany. I mean, he offended a lot of people, and he has a lot of people offended in the wake of his life. He just was that kind of guy that just spoke his mind, lived large, lived loud. But one of the things that really stood out to me, and the reason I wanted to start with this morning, is that one thing that kept coming up over and over was how generous he was with his resources and helping people. He was constantly opening his door to the church and his own door to his house for people who were homeless, who were down and out, who had drug addictions, and he was trying to help them. He would pay for people to go to school, pay for people to go to rehab. He really was generous that way, and he talked people off of bridges from suicide by laughing with them. I mean, the stories were amazing, and I just think about this group of people and the legacy that each one of you is going to leave behind. You have such big hearts, and I know you share your resources. And whenever you go to a memorial service, it's always that question, like, "Wow, what are people going to say about me when I die?" And I just want to thank each one of you for the labor of love that each one of you do. For some of you, it's easy. For some of you, it's harder. I think about Lydia being a city manager. It's a thankless job. I'm sure nobody appreciates all the labor that you do, Lydia, behind the scenes. You probably just hear all the criticisms. Why don't you do this? And why are you doing that? And so I just want to start out by saying thank you. Your service matters. And I know each one of you and the legacy that you all are leaving behind is really, it's a testament to God living in your lives, and it's going to live on long after we're gone. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's start out with introductions. And so just tell me your name, the church or organization that you represent, and then let me know if you have any announcements you'd like to make when we get to the announcement section. And then we'll come back, we'll order them. If you have to leave early, let me know that too, so I can bump you up to the beginning of announcements. So I will have to go by the order of boxes on my screen, since they're all different. Everybody has a different order. And this is what's being recorded, so it makes sense to go in this order. So we're going to start with David. He was on first, so his box is up first.
Good morning, everyone. David Shorey, Institute for Public Strategies, East County Program Manager. I do have an announcement, and I also would volunteer to do the closing prayer if you haven't selected someone already.
Excellent. Thank you, David. That's awesome. I don't think I've ever had anybody offer to do the closing prayer at the beginning. Even in a pastor's group. Nobody wants to pray out loud. It's funny. Okay. Next up on my screen, I have Dean, also from IPS. Go ahead, Dean.
Well, you spoiled that.
I did. I'm sorry.
No.
Took away your thunder.
I'm Dean Ambrosini. I'm a prevention specialist. I work with David at Institute for Public Strategies, and I also have the Opioid Project Overdose Data to Action, and I do have a brief announcement.
Excellent. Important work you do. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, I have my husband. Do you want to introduce us? I'll throw you the mic.
Sure thing. Hi, I'm Mark Stapleton, lead pastor at Cornerstone Community Church here in Lemon Grove. We've been here for almost 20 years, 19 years now, and we're currently sharing facilities. Well, not really sharing facilities right now with Jeff Leto in the First Baptist Church, where we still have equipment there. I'll put it that way. Wonderful to be here in Lemon Grove and here with you this morning. I pastor with my wife, Ann, who is facilitating this meeting this morning. You might meet her a little bit later on. It's good to see you all. I do not have an announcement, but Ann will.
Ready? Mm-hmm. All right. He will also be manning the chat room. So if you have information, flyers, details, anything that you want to say, throw it in there, and then we will save those notes and put them into an email later. Next on my screen, I have Mike. I think we only have one Mike here today, if I'm correct. Last week we had three. Last month we had three. So go ahead, Mike.
Okay, good morning, and thanks to Mark and Ann for all that you do behind the scenes to make this all happen for all of us. It's awesome. Thank you. I'm Mike Lavish with the Baha'i Faith, and I do have a short announcement about the United Nations International Day of Peace coming up. So if I could mention that later.
Great. I think I got your flyer on that too. Excellent. And next door to him is Roberta. So go ahead and unmute Roberta and introduce yourself. Let us know if you have any announcements.
Hi, I'm Roberta Bowling of Baha'i Faith Community and also Lemon Grove Historical Society. So I'll have an announcement from the Historical Society, a short one.
Thank you, Roberta. All right, Pastor Jeff. So last month I told everybody I thought it was his birthday. It wasn't. That's why he was at the dentist, because you wouldn't combine those two things, I don't think. It was his church's birthday, I believe. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Jeff.
Yeah, yes, thank you. Yeah, if it was my birthday last, what was it, August the 12th, I would have been 77 years old. And, or no, 78 years old, and I'm not quite there yet. But anyway, Pastor Jeff Leto, First Baptist Lemon Grove, and it's a blessing to be here again. I want to echo those that have said, and all of us that say thank you to Mark and Ann for your leadership and keeping us together and all that you do. So appreciate that. So I have no announcements today.
Okay. Thank you. And Sarah, you're up next on my screen.
I'm Sarah Lewis from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the Historical Society. And I have a short announcement later.
Awesome. Great. And Kaylee, glad to have you back again this month.
Hi, thanks for having me again. I'm Kaylee Cantor, and I'm with the Nile Sisters Development Initiative representing the Full Stop Tobacco Control Program, and I also have a brief announcement.
Awesome. Great. And then next on my screen, I've got three people. We cannot see their faces. Lydia, who is on her either on her computer without her camera. At work, they don't have cameras. Our city can't afford cameras for their computers. So, Lydia, there you go.
Hi, Ann. Yes, it is. You are correct. We had to change out computer equipment. We bought laptops absent of cameras because we bought refurbished computers for city staff. So you get to see a beautiful blank screen or your beautiful face. Thank you for everything that you said, and it's not just me, it's all the city workers that do a thankless job, and especially our guys that are working out in the street in this horrible heat, making sure that potholes get paved and illegal dumps get picked up, and they pick up the trash, and so they do a very good service and never complain a bit. So I do have a very brief short announcement on a couple of projects that are coming forward that I think you all would be interested in. One is our Video Federation sharing program, and then just a brief announcement on the food distribution.
Great. Okay, Lydia, we'll come back to you. Do you have any, do you have to leave early or anything?
Nope. I don't have a meeting following this, so I can stay for the whole meeting.
Perfect. Awesome. So if anybody wants to make a donation and buy a bunch of webcams that clip onto all their computers, you know where you can send those. Okay, I have two phone numbers. I have 461 and is that Susan? Okay, so good morning, Susan. I don't know if you can easily unmute on your phone and say good morning and introduce yourself.
Susan Farnsworth, Lemon Grove United Methodist Church. Good morning.
Good morning, Susan. Thank you for all you do for our city. You have any announcements today?
No announcement, thank you.
Okay, glad to have you on. And then 729-2145. Anybody want to claim? Are you able to unmute your phone and introduce yourself? It's our secret shopper. That's who it is. Somebody coming to see how our meetings go. Okay, so if you find your mute button, feel free to unmute and just speak up, and we'll pause what we're doing. And okay, so we have a smaller group today. Last week we almost had I think we had 2 screens, but we do have a lot of announcements. So I've got a bunch, and I know you all have some, and people are sending me things. This morning we will be keeping Joyce's husband in prayer. He's having knee surgery. So Joyce from Thrive, Lemon Grove, and all other kinds of places. Joyce used to be IPS, and She's also a pastor's wife from a church in Spring Valley. We used to be in Spring Valley, right? I think they moved. So anyway, we're glad for all the work she does, and she sent me a little announcement. So let's see. I guess if nobody, does anybody wave at me if you have to leave early? And we'll put you at the top. No? Okay. So, oh, maybe that is Joyce. No. She did say she was going to try and call in from the hospital. So that could be Joyce. I just, yeah, check your contact list and see if that's Joyce. I'm going to go ahead. I want to share just on a personal note, I just want to share some pictures of the memorial service. Did anybody, let's see, should I?
That's Joyce.
That is Joyce?
Wait,
Okay.
no.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it is.
Did everybody see my photos, or like, yes, everybody? No? Okay, there's a few no's. Okay, so I'll go ahead and share my screen, and we will look at those photos really quick. So that is Hetty welcoming everybody. She used to be the moderator of the church. That is George's casket right there. And she did ask everybody to respect, not try to hug each other and that kind of thing. So that was his program. There were a lot of retired colonels and people from the chaplains. His daughter, I've never met her. I've never heard about her. Her name's Aria, which is just beautiful because he loved music. And she spoke and gave an amazing tribute to her father. There's some pictures of George. There was an organist there, of course, playing organ music to tribute to him. That's George's brother. That's George's daughter. And she was beautiful what she said. She just really gave a great testimony to his gifts and the kind of person he was. And that's Pastor Jackie Guzman. She gave a nice little message, and she used to actually work there as his administrator, and she kept George in check. She was not afraid of him. And she also had a church that met there. That's one of George's brothers. Of course, our mayor was there. She gave a beautiful tribute to Pastor George and read some scripture. She did a great job. And then that was a retired colonel. That is George's sister. This is the closing of the service. And she was just welcoming everybody. She is taking on the pastorate there, at least for the time being. So I'm sure she could use your prayers. It's a big job taking that on. That probably wasn't her plans for retirement, but at this point, that seems the best thing for the group. Then I don't know, I won't go any further because they did do a viewing, and I took a picture of George, and maybe some of you don't want to see him laid to rest. He was very, very, very pale, of course, because there's no blood flowing through his veins, but they did do a viewing, and people were able to go through and pay their respects, and then they had a potluck, and we took off after that. So that, Pastor George, interestingly enough, has a big part of why this group is meeting, because for years and years, he had a donor in his church who paid for all the clergy breakfasts when we used to meet at Anna's in her room, Anna's restaurant. And he would come maybe, Jeff, once a month, he would pop in, but he would always pay the check. And so once again, that's just George and his generosity. And then we kind of, we moved from there to the Antique Row, which is now the Lemon Grove Cafe, and then we kind of outgrew that. And then we moved to his church, and he allowed us to meet there without paying any rent. And we'd use his kitchen, and we'd always try to clean up, make it better than we found it. And that's where we've been meeting for years. And so I'm not sure what the future holds as far as if that's where we're going to go back to when all this pandemic calms down. So we'll just let things settle for Sharon a little bit, and then we will talk to her. So, okay, so I've got a couple more announcements, but I will go ahead and let you all go first, and then I'll throw mine in at the end. I've got a couple of videos, things that are going on in the community. So let's start with David, and just go ahead and unmute your mic and make your announcement.
Excuse me. Good morning again. So a couple announcements. One, not really to IPS, but I put in the chat a fire tracking map. This is really, really in-depth, and it covers, as far as I can tell, all of California. There's other things that are associated with this, but it's, I kind of got lost in it last night going through all the different details. So it's pretty extensive. And I know that, yeah, for some folks that's helpful and just getting a sense of how things are going and all that. The other thing I wanted to announce on my end is that our youth program, the East County Youth Coalition, is starting up our virtual sessions. It's a 15-week session that's based off the Resident Leadership Academy model, where each session focuses in on everything from where your food comes from to how government works to drugs and alcohol, traffic, land use, those kinds of civic engagement topics. And so we will be doing those virtually via video engagement, as well as having an online kind of classroom. And then there'll be breaks in the sessions where we'll have special speakers come in that are kind of subject matter experts to be able to do a presentation, engage with the students. I will put in information in the chat. I will also, and I'll send you an email with the announcement as well, if you could forward it on to your list.
Are you looking for youth? Where do you get your youth?
We are looking for youth. Age is, so it's high schoolers.
Okay.
14, 15, 13 up to age 18.
Okay.
And so I'll put the announcement in the chat.
Great. Okay, we'll send youth your way if we have some that are interested. That's really a great education for them. So thank you for doing that.
Certainly.
Is that it for you, David?
That is all for me, yes.
Okay. Dean, I'll let you follow on the heels of your coworker there, David.
All right. So I will turn the attention from youth groups to youth and opioids. As most of you are aware, if you watch the news, we've had a alarming spike in fentanyl overdoses this year, and the opioid crisis and the drug abuse crisis in general has taken on a huge new level of urgency. Everybody experiments. We can't rule out even the best raised kids are prone to experimenting in adolescence. But the problem is with fentanyl, one experiment can be it. And because of that, it is absolutely necessary for everyone at every angle that they can reach them to reach out to youth. And our program is more than happy to offer any kind of presentation for your youth groups. We can also offer Speak Well training to help them lead their own groups. We have a variety of resources at our disposal, and just out of the sense of urgency, we are more than happy to make those presentations. I'll put my email in the chat. I also wanted to publicize an event that the DA's office is doing. Monique isn't here, so I'm not stealing her announcement, but I'm sure she'd be glad if I made it on her behalf. They're hosting an opioid town hall summit on the 18th. That is from 10 to 11:30 on Zoom. I will drop a flyer. I'm sure that she sent it to Anne, but I'll send it nonetheless for circulation. And, like I said, the focus has shifted. We're no longer just carrying the be a good kid message. We're saving lives by getting this outreach out there. And it's no longer safe to assume that everything will be okay after one, not saying people do, but the urgency has completely shifted. And I am more than pleased to interact with any of your youth groups to help them with resources to get that message out there. So please reach out to me, and thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Do you know of a really concise video or promo or some kind of educational piece that maybe churches could show to their leadership or their members to let them know? I know I've watched different documentaries on the opioid crisis. I'm aware of how deadly it is. I'm just wondering, like, some people might not be aware of what's happening.
I know that there's a series that the DA's office has put together on their website, and I will send you, actually that's on the flyer. They have some short videos that can be used. I can also help to find a list of recommendations of those that would be helpful as well. And I think that's a great idea, is to get that message out there, because if you circulate it, then they'll get a chance to see it. So I don't have a cache of tools ready, but I will get them together for you and send those on with some suggested viewing material. I think that's a great idea, and thank you for asking.
Awareness is the first step, isn't it? I mean, I remember when we first became aware in this group of the human trafficking problem that was right under our own noses, and you know, then we can take action and start praying about it. So thank you. Appreciate that. And
yes, absolutely.
You're doing life and death kind of work. So thank you, Dean.
Well, it wasn't intended to be, but the education has become more important now. And yes, absolutely. So thanks.
I want to welcome Archie. Welcome, brother. Do you want to unmute your mic and introduce yourself and let me know if you have announcements to make toward the end?
No, I don't. I've missed not being with you guys for so long.
Missed you.
But I was on another Zoom call with some more pastors earlier, and then I thought I gotta go. So I'm glad I got to see you guys. But I have no announcements. Just been praying for everybody, and I hope you continue to pray for me.
And who do you represent, Archie?
A New Birth Kingdom Covenant. In fact, I'm in the building right now.
Nice.
New Birth Kingdom Covenant, and thank God that I joined with you guys to be to help in Lemon Grove and the city of San Diego.
Excellent. Well, we've just gotten started. We've had a couple of announcements. We talked about Pastor George's memorial service. I showed pictures from that. So we'll continue on with our announcements. Mike Lavash, you want to go ahead and share?
Yeah, thank you. International Day of Peace is coming up later on this month. And, you know, world peace has been one of the foundational principles of the Baha'i faith since its inception. The Baha'i international community actually got NGO status with the United Nations in 1948 and have been active in a consultative role with the UN ever since. In 1981, the United Nations declared September 21st of every year to be International Day of Peace. And it's a day where they hope that there will at least be, at the minimum, a ceasefire around the world. You know, just everybody take a pause, take a break. So we are sponsoring a Zoom gathering on September 21st, which is a Monday, but we've also decided to do it, since a lot of people are busy during the week, to do a Sunday afternoon as well. So it'll be the same program both days. It probably won't go the full hour and a half. We have some readings. We're going to have enlist the participants to help us read some readings about peace. We'll have some music and a short video. And we're also want to enlist any of the pastors who might like to offer prayers at this gathering. So I put that out to you if anybody would like to join us on either or both of the dates listed there. Maybe just put your name in the chat and I'll get in touch with you later and we'll make those arrangements. But the Race Amity Day, I think, was a pretty big success. We had a lot of people. We had, I think we had 80 people, you know, just on the actual Zoom meeting, but we simulcast it on Facebook, and we had over 1,700 people actually tuned in on Facebook. So we're trying to spread the word about peace. So
awesome. Are both live programs? It's not like a recording of one and then played the next day?
Yeah, they'll both be live programs.
Okay.
So we'll expect different audiences and different people participating. We'll have it'll be kind of open for some chat and discussion about the readings, and it should be interactive. It should be hopefully enlightening for everybody.
Thank you very much. And if you are one that would be willing to pray in one of the sessions, just let Mike know. You can put it in the chat or chat him privately. And following on his heels, we'll,
go back to Dave.
Go back to Dave?
Yeah, he forgot an announcement. I just want to make sure.
Oh, yeah.
Since we're in between announcements.
Dave, did you have something you wanted to add to your announcement?
The September Suicide Prevention Month.
Yeah, I do apologize. I forgot that. So September is Suicide Prevention Month. The county Health and Human Services Agency, as well as all of the different connected organizations, prevention and treatment providers, are promoting awareness to, especially during the time of COVID and all the political strife, as well as with wildfires. You know, there's a lot of emotional distress, and unfortunately people view suicide as an option. Right. And so we want to encourage folks to have open and honest conversations about resources available to them, as well as you know, counseling and knowing the signs of potential suicidal ideation. Mental health care is greatly impacted during time of COVID, not just because of not being able to see one-on-one, but because of the increases. And so as much as we can spread the word about other resources, we're happy to do that. I've sent a message in the chat that has a link to resources. There's also a column that's going to appear in the East County Magazine, hopefully within the next week, that talks about other resources available, including the It's Up to Us campaign that the County of San Diego is doing. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Yes, I've been reading the statistics, and suicides going up during COVID. I appreciate the work you're doing in that area. Roberta, you're up next.
Yes, I have an announcement from the Historical Society about our museum. According to county guidelines that we read recently, certain businesses can open, and including museums, but at 25% capacity. But we don't have a heavy foot traffic at our museum on Saturday. We're open from 11 in the morning until 2 p.m. We have a docent there that's can open for folks, and they have to have a mask. They can't be ill. We have the guidelines right on the front porch, but we can let them in, I think, like 4 people at a time. But we have a wonderful exhibit about Miller Dairy. And we have a new phone set up, so when we get phone calls, they go right to 3 of the board members by computer. And it's, instead of paying $70 a month now, like we pay like $5 a month for this new service. We're so happy about it. But 3 people who used to work at the dairy got in touch, and our new president, Laura Hook, jumped on it, and she opened the museum for these 3 fellows that used to work at the dairy. And they were so happy to see all the pictures and beautiful displays, including the old family Bible of Mrs. Miller. It's all in German, of course, and it's under glass because we didn't want anybody to touch that Bible. So it's a wonderful exhibit. And then the rest of the exhibits that are there are just so wonderful to see the history. We just love welcoming children, especially because children are free with their parents. We you know, a donation is at $2. It's just such a wonderful place. So we can welcome you now.
That's
safely.
Awesome. We have a rich history here in Lemon Grove, and I love that the work you all do there to keep that alive and also to educate all of us. So that's excellent.
And I did want to mention Helen and I were at the service yesterday. We were downstairs. We left right after the service, of course, but it was very moving and a beautiful spot. I've always loved that spot. And so it was wonderful to see the emphasis on the immortality of the soul and how it's not destroyed. So that was very uplifting.
Yes, they kept saying that he was graduating. Oh, beautiful. Okay, thank you, Roberta. I'm going to turn it over to Kaylee now. You gave us a nice presentation last month. If you missed it, just go to our YouTube page and you can watch that again.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just wanted to let everyone know that next Monday, September 14th, 3:30 to 5 o'clock, my organization is going to be hosting a virtual town hall specific to Lemon Grove and East County residents. It's going to be a really informative event. It's going to detail some information about smoke-free housing that I shared with you guys last meeting, and some COVID-19 assistance, food assistance resources, vocational training opportunities. We are also having a Lemon Grove Crime and Prevention Department come in and discuss some things that have been happening around Lemon Grove, as well as some other countywide initiatives that are happening. So I think it's gonna be really exciting. Someone from the Sheriff's Department, the DA's office, the Census Bureau, and a lot of other people are gonna be there presenting. So it's gonna be a really informative and hopefully really useful event. And I will share the flyer in the chat along with the registration link.
Excellent. Thank you. That sounds really informative. We'll try to get that on the calendar. And thank you for serving our community with all that helpful information. All right, let's see. Archie, no. Jeff, no. Okay, Sarah, you're up next.
Okay, thank you, Roberta, for telling us about the museum. We are also kind of in the works. I just want to give you a heads up. As a society, have decided to try to gather, kind of document the pandemic in Lemon Grove. So this year of, very much we're living history. So we decided to try to gather pictures and stories from people in Lemon Grove. Roberta's going to work through the school district. We're hoping to work with teachers to get a children's perspective. And I'm going to be able to create a graphic and a flyer that I'll send as soon as I have it done to you guys. If you have pictures of Lemon Grove, if you have personal experiences you'd like to share, we just want to gather up stories for our archive. And eventually this might end up being a museum exhibit, or, it's going to be a public record to kind of show what it was like, like people wearing masks and barbers cutting hair on the street. And, there's a lot of things that have been different. Zoom school, right? And to be able to document this, I think, and keep it is really important. So we're going to work on this in our next board meeting, and I'll have a graphic, and we're just going to try to work through local community organizations and just kind of get that information. We'll have probably an email address. You can just email pictures and stories and things too. And so if you can support that, we would love that, to have everyone's kind of personal experiences during this very unique year. Secondly, I am the wife of our bishop, and our ward council is actually going to try to open up in-person services as soon as Sunday. So really excited to open up. We've very carefully read all of the rules, and we have all kinds of different protocols. No singing, masks. The sacrament is going to be very careful in how they do the bread and the water. That will happen. The ordinance will happen, but it's going to be, very careful, and every third row, and only meeting in families, and no one can stay and talk in the building, and a very short 45-minute service. Usually ours are 60 minutes. So we're going to cut that down. No more than 100 people. We're also going to broadcast it for those who don't want to come or can't come. So if you want to know how it goes, I can report next month, but we are going to probably try to start meeting in person. We're really excited about that. So it'll be very different. We'll miss the singing, we'll miss the hugging, but we're really excited to be able to worship together in person, hopefully very soon.
That's great.
So thank you. That's all I got.
I saw some shocked faces when she said no singing, but if you read the California guidelines and the county guidelines, it still says no singing for churches. So I know a lot of churches are singing. So just be safe out there. Put your masks on, sing with your masks. Don't let that spit fly.
I think we're just going to do recorded music or piano music, but just, no live music, just recorded music. We'll have to do it for now.
You can worship a lot of different ways. So, all right. Well, all the best to you, Sarah, and your church. And thank you for documenting this. I hadn't really thought about the fact that this is a historical moment that will go down in the archives of Lemon Grove's history. So we'll try to get the word out if anybody has unique things, like when they did the graduations, the drive-by graduations, and all the kinds of different things that have gone on. People exercising out on Lemon Grove Avenue doing their body by discipline classes out there. And yeah, so Broadway, that was Broadway, that's right. So excellent. Okay, next up I've got Lydia. Lydia, she's been so patient. What you got for us?
Hi there. No, I love being able to listen to what everybody has to share and what's going on in Lemon Grove. So first, I wanna say that I think I was able to attend the Historical Society's dedication for. I think Sarah or Roberta can better say what the event was, but it was a really good event. I can't remember it right now.
The Colonial Dames. It's a
Thank you.
local historical like club, and they were honoring us for our historical preservation of the building and the use of the Parsons Museum. So Lydia came, and it was great.
Yes, it was a nice, great event. If you haven't seen it, there's a beautiful plaque on the outside of the Historical Museum. Please take a look at that. And so I wanted to share with you, the council last week heard a presentation from Lieutenant Mike Rand. And I think you may have had a short presentation early or late in 2019 about the Video Federation program. Well, right now it's called Safe San Diego Lemon Grove. We're hoping the name will change to Safe Lemon Grove. And what this is a collection of live cameras that will be posted on several public spaces. One of the public spaces will be Berry Street Park, Lemon Grove Park, the skate park, Promenade Park. And the Sheriff's Department is piloting a program that they hopefully will roll out both in their other contract cities as well as the unincorporated areas of the county. That will allow deputies another tool to be more efficient in their activities responding to calls. So what this program does is there are certain cameras that will be located on those public sites that'll be signed. Everybody will know that they exist, but when there's a call, say to Berry Street Park, the deputies that are responding to the calls will be able to pull up a video feed and take a look at what's going on in the situation. Is there truly a fight going on? Is it a real call, a bogus call? And it allows them to better respond to the call. And again, being more efficient with our deputies' time, and then more effective to attack the situation or the issue as it arises. Unfortunately, the Union Tribune, in its zeal to announce a program, called it a surveillance program. This is not a surveillance program. A surveillance program requires somebody to sit in front of a bank of cameras and monitor the cameras at all times. We're not doing that. This program isn't designed that way. It is a live feed. It's not being recorded, so we can't go back and look at what was happening. It is really a live time feed. We currently have cameras at the Promenade that accomplish that. However, they over the years they have been weathered. They weren't very good cameras. They were placed in locations that weren't very helpful for us to take a look at the entire park. So the county is. I'm going to sneeze in a second. Hold on. Okay, excuse me. I muted myself before I sneezed. It is going to make those cameras more robust and have a 360 view, so we can take a look at the surrounding areas that are attached to the park. So we're very excited about that. That's the first phase of the program. That should be rolling out towards the end of the month. For those of you that did not attend the city council meeting, our council meetings are up live, so you can podcast it and listen to the discussion. Lieutenant Rand did a really good job of explaining the program and what it's not, which is not a surveillance program. So if you hear that, please help me educate folks that it's not a surveillance program at all. We get to be a pilot program. This is all done free at charge for the citizens of Lemon Grove and the city of Lemon Grove. Because we were not part of the pilot program for body cameras, the Sheriff's Department decided to make us a pilot program for this particular new law enforcement tool. So we're very excited about that. second half of that program is if businesses along our retail corridor do have cameras, they can at some point opt in to share their video feeds with law enforcement. There's a specific agreement with the business and law enforcement. And then the business owner can decide at any point to stop being a partner with law enforcement or jump in and be a partner with law enforcement. And it will help them, law enforcement, do some of the investigations that they need to do based on video that they get from the particular businesses. So it's an exciting program, and we're looking forward to seeing the rollout of this particular program. The second item is we are doing food distributions every Saturday. We've done, I believe, every Saturday since May, and thank those of the clergy group that have come out and helped us bag up the food and hand out the food. We got about $60,000 in federal funding for this particular program. We're about halfway through our federal allotment. So we've got about a little over 30,000 left to continue the food distribution, and hopefully that will take us through towards the end of the year, and hopefully the COVID pandemic will have waned a little bit, or we have some type of medical response that can help people combat the virus a little bit better. And so we'll continue to do that until we expend all of those funds. Other good event I wanted to share, we don't have a flyer yet because we're still working out the details with the U.S. Census, but we're looking at sponsoring, in conjunction with the U.S. Census Department, a drive-through event on the 18th of this month for those folks that didn't have access to a computer or didn't fill out the census. We want to make that final push prior to the end of the census being on September 30th. For Lemon Grove, our response rate, actually we've exceeded the response rate from 2010, so we hope to actually get a higher response rate for us. That means federal dollars for our CDBG funds. It means federal dollars for grants. It means a lot of different types of funding mechanisms that will come back and flow back to Lemon Grove. And I've heard somebody say this before, is if you're counted once, you're counted for 10 years. So that helps us with funding here in Lemon Grove and for city programs that are essential for our organization. And then lastly, I want to thank all of the clergy groups that donated items and materials for our homeless outreach program. That has really helped us save some funding so we could reallocate some of those fundings to not only our sheriff's team, but our homeless outreach nonprofit that we're working on that one. So thank you again. If anybody is interested, please let me know and I'll put you in contact with our coordinator, Christian Olivas, that is helping manage that particular program. And then I will happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Does anybody have any questions for Lydia? Looks like Roberta might. Okay, go ahead, Roberta.
Lydia.
Yes.
I noticed that lot across from the fire department that's been, well, Mount Miguel used to use that piece of land to sell Christmas trees. That was their major fundraiser for their marching band for years. And I was told that that site had toxic waste and had to be cleaned up before it could be used to build. But who bought it and what are they going to build there?
So the property owner is the same property owner that owns all of that property. So from 99 Cent Store all the way down, it's the same property owner. His last name is Shapoor. I don't know his first name. I just call him Mr. Shapoor. Mr. Shapoor has leased that particular property to Popeye's Chicken. So Popeye's Chicken Corporation is doing the remediations with the county to clean up that particular property. I think it may have been a gas station, so they have to clean up some of the, there's some underground tanks. They have to remove some of the soils to be able to do that. And then there'll be a drive-through Popeyes, hopefully open sometime the beginning of next year. Those stores go up fairly fast. It went through the Planning Commission and was approved 5-0 from the Planning Commission to have that new Popeyes. So
I guess my next question would be, the bank is going to be moving down. Union Bank is going to be next to Bank of America, is from what I understand. Is that correct?
yes, yes.
And
So
then-
yes. So what's happening with the Union Bank property, we don't know. The property owner hasn't reached out to us yet, but we do know that that building has some historical significance. So we are trying to communicate with the property owner that whomever he has a new deal with, that we need to be very careful with that particular building.
Oh, I see. And so are those two buildings then will be available to rent or to renovate to be other things like the 99-cent City also?
Correct. So the 99-cent store is on the market right now to be leased. Our development staff and myself personally have sent several interested parties over to Mr. Shapour. Our response back is he's not interested in leasing that site for whatever reason. But the Union Bank is owned by another property owner.
Okay.
So the Union Bank, I'm sure, will be available for some type of leasing should they want to lease it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Do you know when that the Union Bank would be moving down to Bank of America? Is that?
They're doing the the tenant improvements right now, so hopefully they'll be opening fairly soon. Usually tenant improvements take anywhere to 6 to 9 weeks, depending on the type of improvements. And I think for the bank to physically move in, they have to do a little bit more robust improvements because of
Security.
The security aspects and the safe aspects, which they have to put in, and that tends to be a little longer than a normal tenant improvement build out.
Wow, that's big. That's a big move.
Yeah.
Well,
so it'll still stay in town. It's just moving locations, and they have a new lease agreement with another property owner. That's all.
So all you praying folk out there, pray that Mr. Shapour will do something with the buildings that are sitting empty and vacant.
Oh yes, please. If the city was able to get a large pot of money, I would push the city council to actually purchase the site, so then we become the landlord, and then we'd be able to put in some of the leads that we were able to send to Mr. Shapour. One was Dee Dee's Clothing, which is a clothing store. We've sent a couple of other retail outlets that don't conflict with Sprouts, and the word back is that he's a very difficult property owner to deal with. So, unfortunately. And then we are actively working with the receiver still on the property that's on Broadway that's boarded up, although it did go through a sale. The new property owner has not come in on any kind of project or building that they want to do. So we did not relieve the receiver of his duties. So he's still working with the new property owner because it does look like a blighted site, and we want to make sure that it stays clean, it stays weed free, it stays graffiti free, and that it's monitored on a nightly basis to ensure that it doesn't harm any of the businesses located to it. So we're still working with the receiver on that particular project.
Okay, great.
That's across from Food for Less.
Yeah, that's the one from across from Food for Less.
That was the illegal marijuana shop. Yes, yes. And speaking of marijuana, for those of you that are curious, we have our first legal under Measure V shop open. It's at the end of Broadway. It's at the end of Broadway, almost on the very near the city lines for the city of San Diego, called the Boulevard. It was supposed to be called something else, or the Grove, but they called it the Boulevard. We did do a tour early had a soft opening in May. They did the formal opening last Saturday. Actually, city staff did a tour of the building. They spent a lot of money on the interior of the building. Not only is it secure and there's a bazillion cameras that are monitored and surveilled, They did an extraordinary job of making that the interior of that building absolutely beautiful. If I did not know that it was a marijuana shop, I would think it was a high-end shop that belonged somewhere on Rodeo Drive.
It's well done.
So they did a very, very good job on that one. And so we're monitoring it to see if there's any additional increased activity. We haven't had any additional increased activity on the law enforcement front. And so we'll continue to watch that. We've got a second business that we hope will open by the end of this year or next year that has an approved conditional use permit. And so hopefully by 2021, we will have at least 2 fully functioning medical marijuana dispensaries. And then the last related to that is Measure J. Measure J is on the ballot. Measure J would tax these marijuana businesses at between a 4 and 8% gross receipts. And for Lemon Grove, that translates into about $500 to $1.2 million in additional funding for us that will help offset any additional fire costs, any additional law enforcement costs, any additional code enforcement costs that these buildings have. And with anything left over, we can then repurpose that money and put it towards, say, recreation programs and enhancing the parks. So there's alternatives for our youth instead of hanging out at a MMD.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot. Thank you, Lydia.
You're welcome.
Always helpful to know what's going on in the city. And I see people having conversations on the Nextdoor app, and they don't, they aren't always informed. So it's good to be informed. Let me share my screen. I've got a couple announcements from people who could not make it. Let me just share it this way. So the first one is Nathan Gallegos. He is a youth pastor over at Zion Centro Cristiano, and he's got a free parenting class in both English and Spanish on Tuesdays, September 15, 22, 29. So I will send this out on email. He wanted to be here, but he wasn't able to. Whoops. And let's see what else. He also wanted to know, are there any local collection locations for supplies, resources for current fire victims and first responders? Does anybody know, are there any local collections for victims of the fire?
So the San Diego, this is Lydia. The San Diego Foundation has set up a line, and I will send you the link, Ann, so you can share it with everybody. And they're collecting things both for the victims and for firefighters. Due to COVID, most firefighters and most victims, they're not getting home prepared food because of COVID and the virus. So they're asking for donations of water or Gatorade or materials and obviously money to help the victims. We do have a unit, Heartland Fire and Rescue, so that's La Mesa, El Cajon, and Lemon Grove, does have a unit that's helping combat that fire. And unfortunately, we have several city employees that live out in that area that are affected by the fire. And so they've been hybrid, working from home, making sure that they don't have to evacuate their family and their farm animals and keep their family safe while they're there. So one of them specifically is Mike James, so please keep him in your prayers.
Oh, wow. Okay. Very praying for him. I wanted to remind you that See Christ Christian Bookstore is open 10 to 1 and 2 to 5 every day except Sunday. They break in the middle for cleaning, and she wants to keep her business open. So please, if you need a Bible embossed or you need communion supplies or anything, please be sure to visit her right over there across from Little Caesars Pizza. And I also wanted to mention that Channel 7 locally, we heard about this a little bit last, Channel 7 NBC. I attended the virtual Churches Against Trafficking meeting last week, and it was really exciting to hear the progress they're making. One of the things that they have done is one of the gals who is a newscaster over there at Channel 7 was real champion for this, and she came on and she spoke about this program that they've got. It's a seven-part year-long investigation, and you can go online and view it. So I just wanted to show this real quick because it's really powerful. Let's see. So this is the site. You can just go to nbcsandiego.com and you can see all the work that they've done. And they've been highlighting it. If you watch NBC News, they've been highlighting each night one of the 7 different episodes. So let me just enlarge my screen and just show this real quick. It's a trailer.
Trafficking. It's a problem that is widely misunderstood. It's happening in nearly all of our schools and exploiting our kids.
Your child does not have to leave their room to be exploited.
It's our neighbors trafficking our neighbors. It's our middle schoolers trafficking our middle schoolers.
I'm a journalist, but I'm also a mother. Every parent and anyone with a child in their life needs to understand this issue and see what we found happening in San Diego.
How old was she when she met this man?
17. Yeah, she was 17 years old. Who's actually protecting our children?
This is difficult. It's uncomfortable, but it's happening all around us.
I wouldn't have known it was her if I didn't see it on her iPad.
What we uncovered was eye-opening, from how this happens to holes in our legal system.
He got a get-out-of-jail-free card.
It is a battle and a half. It is a battle and a half.
But there is hope.
I'm not going to quit. I'm not giving up on my daughter.
That darkness is really, really great, but the light is greater. It's so much greater.
Fighting to take back what was stolen.
So that is free. It's on the NBC website, and it's excellent. It's been put together by professionals, and so I just recommend if you want to go out there and watch it yourself and then see where you might be able to share it with your leaders, so they can be, first of all, praying about it, and secondly, educating our parents to know what to look for. Like they said, you don't have to leave your home to get trafficked these days. And right now our kids are online more than ever. So I think it's really, really important, just like with the opioid crisis, to educate ourselves and our leaders. Awareness is the first step. So that was the first thing I wanted to show you. And then I also am excited that Pastor Miles from the Rock Church is hosting another We Pray San Diego. That was so amazing back in June when we got together with thousands of people and prayed over the city, joined together in unity, all different denominations, all different ethnicity groups, all different languages. It was really beautiful. So we're doing it again, and guess what? We're praying for our schools. And, our teachers are under immense pressure and stress to figure this thing out and keep pivoting back and forth depending on what happens in our communities with COVID. So I want to invite you all. Pastor Brian's going to help with this, but I want to invite all of you to join us on September 26th as we're going to gather out in front of the Lemon Grove Academy. So we are going, I know there's a food distribution on that same day. And we're hoping not to conflict with it, but maybe to enhance it. So maybe Lydia can give us any information on that. I usually go down and help pack the food, so I want to talk to them about how that would work. But we're hoping we could even have churches, if we had enough churches involved, we could pray in front of each of the schools. It's not just one location. So Pastor Brian used to meet at the Lemon Grove Academy, so he's going to take on that site, and we're going to help him with that. But we could pray in front of Jeff has a school, a preschool. We could pray in front of Will's preschool. He's also got a school right across the street from him, so maybe his church could take on those 2 locations. San Altos. We've got so there's a lot of schools. Tomorrow at 3:00, there's a prayer meeting of pastors with Pastor Miles that we get together and talk about logistics. Right now, I've signed us up for the Lemon Grove Academy, but we could sign up for more than that if any of you want to sign up to take your church to one school and just pray between 9 and 10. Pastor Miles has put together, his team put together an audio recording. You put it in your ears with earbuds, and it walks you through every 3 minutes. You have a new prompt, and they've edited it so that it really focuses on the schools and the teachers and the parents and the students. So let me try. It's only like a 1-minute video, so let me try this again and see if I can get it to work. So there we go.
How you doing? I'm Miles McPherson, pastor of the Rock Church. COVID-19 has been tearing our families and country apart. Fear, death, illness, loss of jobs, and the division of racism has also been tearing us apart. As our students prepare to return to school, our parents and teachers need our support, and we believe the only answer is prayer. On June 20th, earlier this year, 135 churches and 15,000 people gathered all over San Diego and in other states to pray. The event was called We Pray San Diego. We're doing it again. On September 26th, 9 a.m. for 1 hour, we're going to come together all over San Diego to pray for our students and their families in front of the schools. For more information, go to wepraysandiego.com. Join us as we pray for the blessing of God on all of our students, teachers, and schools.
So mark your calendars, tell your people the 26th, Saturday morning, 9 to 10 a.m. Join us out in front of the Lemon Grove Academy, or if you feel you've got somebody in your congregation who wouldn't mind leading your church to go pray in front of another school. Like I said, if you wanted to pray in front of your preschool, Jeff, you could just have your people come and pray in the parking lot there. So that's exciting, and definitely had a lot of really amazing things happen after we prayed last time, so I'm looking forward to that again. And I think that's it for the announcements. Joyce wanted me to mention today there is a collaborative meeting every time we have a clergy breakfast. There's that same day at 3:30 p.m. there's a collaborative meeting for Lemon Grove, which has a bunch of agencies getting together that really care about the city. And today they're going to be having a guest speaker, Sarah Blomstrand, who's working with the Champion of Health, and she's going to be presenting today. If you need the link, just let me know. Joyce usually sends it out. So, okay, any closing announcements? I'm sorry, it's 10:30. I know we try to get done right at 10:30, and I think we're 2 minutes shy of that. So,
Anne, just talk to Monica or Marlene about coordinating the prayer vigil on the 26th with the food event. Because I don't want to move our food event, since everybody knows that is a pretty established time frame. But I'm sure we can coordinate it to accomplish both goals and ensure that the prayer happens, as well as people that need food can get food. And perhaps some of those folks that are praying can stop by and pick up some necessary food for the week.
yeah, I was hoping to work in conjunction with it, and either, we don't want to be in the way, so we could have people park at different places, like even in the lot over there by Bank of America, and then walk over and just stand on the street, across the street, and just pray, staying 6 feet apart on the sidewalk, not on the street. Thank you. Maybe even some of the people that are picking up food would be encouraged to know that there are people praying. I don't know if we could work out a way that we could pray for them, but I mean, we could pray for them in general, maybe just not specifically. But thank you. I'll contact Monica and just let her know, because I don't want to cause stress that day. We want it to actually be a blessing.
Yeah, I'll give her a heads up, but yeah, I think we can definitely figure out how to make both events work.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any last minute comments or questions? You all have been troopers hanging in till the very end. I'll try to grab all the information that Mark's been diligently typing in the chat room and send it out to the email list, because there are quite a few people who are not here today. So thank you all for everything you do. David offered in the beginning to close us out in prayer. So David, I will let you go ahead and close us out. And if you would remember, of course, I think you're going to remember the fire victims, because I know that's on your heart. And then also, if you could remember Joyce's husband, all of you just remember Joyce's husband. He's in knee surgery right now. So thank you. Thanks, David.
I'd like to offer a prayer from my tradition, and I think it's exceedingly appropriate for everything we're going through. Grant, O Spirit, thy protection, and in protection, strength, and in strength, understanding, and in understanding, knowledge, and in knowledge, the knowledge of justice, and in the knowledge of justice, the love of it, and in that love, the love of all existences, and in the love of all existences, the love of spirit and all goodness.
Amen. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. All right. Glad to see you all. Missed you. Hugs.
See y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great month.
Stay safe.
Hopefully we'll see you around
Right.
Lemon Grove.
Be well.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.